So with Ijaw, how do you notice that it stands out among the other languages that are spoken, let's say where you were growing up or maybe in your hometown? What about the language makes it stand out, makes it particular that is different from the other languages and maybe the major languages that we hear in Nigeria?
And I think it was when you're a minority, you notice every little detail. By
Mm,
the time once you start becoming aware, when I started becoming aware, Benin City and it- the Oba of Benin, who's the king, is a grade A king. In Nigeria, you rank the kings, and grade A means you're at the very top. That guy is a king who, there are kings who can say, hey, nobody steps out of the house and people won't even listen to that king.
mm,
But the Oba of Benin says, yeah, you're not winning an election in my territory and you
right.
won't. They don't, you can spend all the money you want to spend. You won't. If he says this color is not green, it is blue, people,
Mm,
they listen to it.
okay.
But when you hear how they greet their king, Oba talk, hey, he said, and they do there's a way they do, put their hand on their elbow and Benin people greet. And then you don't hear your fellow people greeting kings like that. And you're like, oh, how do we greet our kings? Do we have
Mm,
kings?
mhm.
But there was no stories about Ijaws with kings, but we never had an empire because we're city states.
Right.
We're riverine people. So where there's rivers, you find Ijaw people.
Mhm.
To this, they go to Ghana, you find Ijaw people there. And that's probably how my grandfather ended up there in the days. In Lagos, in the slums of Ajegule, Morocco, there's an Ijaw community there because those are riverine water areas. There's
Mm,
something so that there's on all those places, even in the Yoruba area like Ondo State, there's an Ijaw community because of water. We're always in those places, but there's some that you don't realize little things like the Yorubas prostrate, they throw themselves on the floor. And then when I'll be at those meetings, somebody will pull my ear. You don't know how to greet? And you're like, how do
mm,
we greet? And then you now realize that both our men and women kneel down, depending on who you're greeting or how much respect
mhm.
you show it to the person. You do either
Right.
one knee or you do both knees.
Mhm.
And you say corridor. And but it's not as like Bini say, damn, I had the Bini in my mind, but it just escaped. But so I know a little bit of Bini, but Yoruba always fights every year. The two biggest kings always claim one invented the other. But Yoruba is Baoni, how are you? We never sounded like that. It's thank you in Bini. Oshe is from Yoruba, as ours. And oh, it doesn't sound. But
Yeah.
when it comes to twins, there's Taiwo and Kehinde ours,
Mm,
which is the same as Yoruba. And you're
yeah.
like, oh, but I've never heard the version. It was just recently I found out that there's a version of our mythology that says we are related to Yorubas, which I've never heard of it. I just found that out in 2024. I just heard that version, but I've never heard that all my life.
Mhm.
So there was always little things that made us stand out. Is a neighboring tribe called the Shekiri that we have big fights with because legend says we dominated the waters
Mhm.
and Ishekiri and Orobo, who are right next to us,
Mhm.
they came to us and said, oh, so you guys catch the fish for us and we'll help you farm on the land. And then that's how
Mhm.
they stole our land. So that's why we always fight all the time, three of us.
Oh.
So yeah, there's a Delta State. I'm Bayelsa. Delta State's next door. And we are the biggest tribe in Delta State, but they don't allow us rule because they own majority. So we'll fight bloody fights there. But
Yeah.
it's funny stuff. But when you see how the way we dress, three of us dress similarly. It looks similar, but it's bloody when we start fighting each other.
Oh gosh.
Bloody. But Shekiri, if Shekiri starts speaking now, you'll be like, oh, they're speaking Yoruba. But Ijaw doesn't sound like Yoruba in a whole sentence. It doesn't. But
Yeah.
when Ijaw have twins, a lot of
Mhm.
Ijaw twins named Taiwan and Kehinde. And you're like,
Mhm.
how do you get to Taiwan and Kehinde? Because that's Yoruba names.
Mhm.
And nobody can give me a full explanation. So there's some parts that sound similar Yoruba, then there's some parts that sound similar to Igbo because we have Igbo on like the eastern side, northeastern side. We have our borders with Igbo land.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
there's stuff that's yeah. I'm finding out stuff every day,
Yeah.
but as a kid, I think just the little basics that was started coming to me of that was I was exposed to. You like, oh, I'm trying to remember their name. The tribe just escaped my mind. When those guys are speaking, the first time I saw those guys speak, I heard about them. And then when they're speaking, it sounds like they're saying S. Oh, yes.
Mhm.
Yes. And I'm like, what the hell are these people? But they're also one of the tribes very close to mine.
Yeah.
So we don't sound anything like that. So when you hear of people like that and you see them speaking in real life, you're like, wow, okay. So we don't sound like that. We say Tebara when we say, how are you? And Emi is, I'm fine. Yoruba say Emi for me. So that's a Yoruba word, me. Emi,
Uh-huh.
you're talking to me,
Mhm.
that's Yoruba. Me, Emi ke. Yoruba is saying that. Emi, but you just say Emi means I'm fine. What Emi? My house is fine. Or my house is well. Or all is well in my house.
Oh,
So
okay.
there's somebody not telling the truth about who there's some we've mixed with somebody somewhere. Or one person came from there's something. So yeah, but it's beautiful. We
Yeah,
keep discovering every
definitely.
day. Yeah.
Something you said I picked up on, and I wanna get back to if you can comment on this, but
Sure.
you said Ijaw people are, where the rivers are.
Yes.
What is the significance in the Ijaw with Ijaw people and the water? How are we related to the water? How do we express ourselves through water? What is the significance of the water to us?
That's a great question. I think that's always been part of our mythology.
Mm,
It's I don't know what because like the literal translation of Ijo or Izon, because if you ever attend we have a major gathering, those of us in diaspora in New Jersey, I think it's around June, July, August.
mhm.
If you ever at that event, anybody who's speaking, where we start our greetings, eyes on. Yeah, eyes on. Yeah. So it's a dragging of the zon, and then it's literally saying, I'm about to speak the truth. Izon means truth.
Oh, okay.
So, although I still have, I'm like, are we saying the truth here? Because there's a lot of questions. Nobody's about meeting to some certain things. But water, you can't fight water. Water is life. In whichever, every culture I've seen, water represents life.
Mm,
And from the little I've seen, I believe that represents the same with us. And so there's a correlation between us, our name standing for the truth, and somehow our journey. Because I've seen it when I was a child. I think the very first version of our story that was given was that we migrated from what is current Israel, Egypt area.
mm,
I think that's tied to Christianity. The people who believe in Christianity, no offense to them, but I think that's what it's tied to.
mhm,
But from those who study culture, people, um, I've seen they're like it's tied to the Bantu region, Bantu area, so Congo. That's what I've seen. And then there's the one that started coming out recently that's saying we are from uh, a, a subversion of Yoruba, which is not popular to see around us. Because yeah, we've been oppressed by them
Right,
in
right.
Nigeria. But one thing that's true about us is that we traveled from somewhere
Okay.
and ended up in present the Niger Delta region
Mhm,
of where we are. So it's like water. We came with water. We follow the waters. We follow a river. So that's why when people say we came from whether it's Egypt, Israel, they claim is the Nile they're pointing to and saying we use the Nile to look our journey, or they're saying the Congo, they're pointing to one of the rivers there and they're tracing our history. Water has always been part of our journey.
mhm.
And today, before let me say, the modern era, fishery was a big thing for
Okay,
us.
okay.
And it has always been a big thing in our profession. So even when it comes to being derogatory against us, you insult us by saying we are fisher, we really know how to fish.
Mhm,
Although, if you want to go to a darker side of history,
mhm,
you ask the question of when it came to enslavement of people, who was taking people to ships? Right? You needed somebody who knew the waterways. That's when you now start, oh, there was somebody who knew. Aha, then you now realize because my name is Harry, last name, right? A lot of my states, because there are people who I meet here who are like, oh, you're Nigerian? How do you have that kind of name? I'm not even go into my states, go to River States, go to Delta State. Those are the three biggest states with a larger Ijaw presence. Our names range from Silva, Ferdinand, Fernandez, which
Port
Yorubas have too, but
Portuguese,
Yorubas
yeah.
have that because of Brazil.
Yeah.
Ours is because the Portuguese were the first to ever arrive in Nigeria through the coast, and were the first that they met. And we converted to Catholicism because they met our kings, and there's history of them taking our kings' sons to Portugal. They got educated there. That's how you get the kings to be on your side. So it's not just, oh, they came and tricked them and that's how slavery started. No, you got the kings and the deals began, they signed treaties. It was all cool. And names started changing because
Mm,
our main fabric that we call George today is not George. It's that because we can't pronounce oh hey. That's how. So all these things are proof that there's a history that we don't really. It's recently that I started discovering all these things, but it's and the water. That's how water has played a big part. Has played a big role in
mm.
who we are, in how we've done things, in how we've done trade, and to this day, it's punishing us too because of the crude oil. Over 40% of Nigeria's crude oil comes from my state, and
Wow.
there's oil spills and all that also comes with that too.
Oh, no. That was heavy.
Yeah.
But thank you.
Yeah.
No, thank you for sharing that because I would not have known that, and it's all the pieces are falling into place as you're saying that, so thanks for giving us an overview of that, and I wanna read more about that. Definitely read more about that, and I encourage my listeners to dive deeper into that because there's a lot there, as we know. As far as the connection to the water, do we have any kind of symbolism or any type of I love these kind of things. Any types of sayings or something that or phrases that people use that are aquatic in nature?
Mm. I should have gotten. I have a book from Ben Okri. I think he's probably our most famous poet. And I think he passed away, what, 3, 4 years ago?
Mhm.
Actually, there's a version of my story that he might have been my dad. He could have been from what I got told after he passed away. I like to think of that story as, oh, maybe I'm a bastard son of his. But he's the most popular poet. I like to credit my creativity to him. But yeah, something from what I think every Ijaw leader that I've known of has probably said a quote, has some powerful quotes to watch.
Mm.
And another thing that we are big in is wrestling. It looks very much like the Greco wrestling,
Mhm.
which is why even what is why I should have written some of these names down, which is terrible. Me, due to the way Nigeria behaves since we just discovered soccer, we've started winning medals with soccer. We just stopped investing in other sports. So a bunch of these guys left and other countries took them. One of us he actually won silver. I don't think he won gold for Canada. And then after he won silver for Canada, he's Nigerian actually. That's when Nigeria. And then he came home and built some stuff for us in our area. It's even when we wrestle, it's close to the river, but we do that like even it's like for our festivals, like when somebody died, like my mom, she's 87 now.
Mhm.
At her funeral, there's going to be a wrestling. It's a festive wrestling. So it's not like we are wrestling to defeat somebody, but it's a playful thing. Even
Mhm.
women wrestle, men and
Mhm.
women wrestle. So I can wrestle with a woman, and there's some the women in my village, they trust me, they're strong. That's it. So I don't really want to, you don't want to really wrestle with like me, I don't want to really wrestle with them because they'll just pick me. I have a cousin who's my age mate. Right from when we were teenagers, that girl used to pick me up like nobody's business.
I
So
love it.
I think you could even see that in other cultures too.
Mm.
It's not just limited to us. We don't have the monopoly over something.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I've also heard of there's one of our communities that includes people in diaspora and back home, and I remember somebody showing a map of claiming that you could find us follow the river Niger, which flows, it ends in Nigeria and then breaks into the delta of the river Niger, ends up where we are. So it
Mm,
says if you follow the river Niger, you'll find Ijaw communities all the way into Burkina Faso and other African countries. Yeah, I guess you find those cultures. I don't know who influenced who, but
mm.
I'm just saying, yeah, you'll find all similar behaviors in different communities just following that river.
I love that. I love that. I love being tied to the water. I
Yeah,
think
me
that's
too.
just
Like I think the most depressed I've been in my life was the period where I lived in Texas. And one interesting fact was that I wasn't living close to the river. There was a lake which I visited one time and I never went back again, which I don't know why. I could have. It was like 10 minutes drive, but that was like the only time I've never lived close to the river. And like right now from my place, it's a river. I'm right by the Hudson's, less
yeah,
than 10 minutes walk from me. So that's why I never leave this neighborhood.
yeah.
Yeah, the rent is not, yeah, I frown every time I pay the rent, but I can't live here. If I live here, I'm moving overseas. That's it. Yeah.
Do you feel like lakes are not the same? Because lakes don't flow. They get their water from somewhere, but a river flows. And a river, it rises, there's life coming in, going out. There's movement. And I feel the same way about the ocean. There's movement, there's waves, the tides are ebbing, they're flowing. It the moon is changing that. I know I'm going way off topic,
No, that's fine.
but I feel like lakes or like even the times that I've had someone say, "Oh, there's a lake." I'm like, "Great." 'Cause I'm an ocean girl. I wanna be near the ocean. I wanna be near the ocean. A river will do because the river, I feel the same way. It moves. So
Yeah.
you can get from one point to another, but a lake is just it's no shade. A lake is
No, no, no,
a
no
lake is a
shade.
big
No shade.
puddle. A lake is a big puddle. So I just
Nah,
feel like the
I don't think I've thought about that. Maybe that's why. Maybe that's one of the reasons why I never settled in Florida. There was an opportunity to move to Florida. I had free housing
mm,
then,
mhm.
but also the mosquitoes were too much. I was like, God damn, hell no, hell no. But
Alligators, yes,
yes, there are
mosquitoes, no.
alligators too. But I just recalled my good friend who was also my namesake, and also from Venezuela, showed me
Mhm.
around the neighborhood. I was like, man, there's so many lakes around here. And he was like, oh, yeah, these are all man made. I don't know, something just threw me off with that. So,
Yeah.
I heard of man made lakes before, but I don't think I'd visualized it.
Mm.
And something just threw me off like, oh, this is not, I don't know, maybe it just felt like this is not natural.
Yeah, yeah,
There's
yeah.
so many of that in
Mhm.
one vicinity. So maybe that kind of made me discriminate against lakes because it's a form of discrimination. Saying, I don't count lakes. There was a story of, I think, how old was did my mom say? I was between age 3 and 5, and we were visiting my actual hometown, and they said I got lost.
Mm.
Then they couldn't find me, being a city kid, and my mom panicked. But then this wasn't the Nigeria of today, where kidnapping is now an industry. People panicked. They said they looked for me for over an hour or two. And then somebody came in and said, there's a child who is standing by the river. And the main river in our area is called the River Nun, Nun. And they said there's a child standing by the river telling whoever cares to listen that, look at this big river. Look at this
Oh.
big water. There must be fishes in the water. Big river. Water. There must be fishes. Plenty of fishes in the water. What kid is that? And that's how they found me. And I was staring.
Oh,
And every time I've traveled, I just love seeing a big body of water like that. And I don't know, it just gives me some peace of mind or
I
something.
get it.
Yeah, I love it. So that story always stands out to me. It's something that even though I have no memory of that happening, but it's always funny when my mom tells that story. And I was just like,
Oh,
that happened. And if you see my photos when I was that age, I had a giant afro. though I'm bald now, but yeah, the giant afro, and I try to picture it and just see myself pointing at the water saying, wow, there are fishes in the water.
Oh.
So yeah, I think that was proof that right from childhood, yeah, it had always been in me that yeah, once I
Yeah.
see a big body of water, I'm at peace. I'm
Mm.
comfortable.